That's like a twisted way of thinking.
Yes, I think that way. What's wrong with someone who thinks that way?
You know, she's proud of that sick up behavior. I mean, I don't know how.
No,
I'm
she
actually
was like,
concerned the way
this
you
same
think a
thing.
little bit.
Oh, good, good. Be concerned. Good,
I know,
be
I'm being
concerned.
honest with you.
This is another recap of the new episode of The Real Housewives of New Jersey. This one's for episode 2, and stick around because at the end of the video, I'm going to have an update on the drama that's been going on social media with the ladies.
Little kind of anti-Melissa. Did that have to do with it?
Well, I mean, no, that didn't have to do with it, but...
So the episode starts off showing the aftermath of the Dolores and Jen fight. They're both just basically talking about each other and how the other person doesn't care about them. And you can tell that Teresa is pretty uncomfortable with it and she really wants them to resolve it, probably because she's so close with both of them. But they both say they're done with the other person, so we'll see.
Spelling it out for me. I don't care about you.
I just gotta mourn the loss.
So, okay. I will no longer care about you anymore also.
You and Jennifer were like really close.
Flash forward, and Melissa and Joe are talking about how they're going to LA for Melissa to present at an award show with Teresa. And I don't know if you guys saw the Louis Vuitton bags just like perfectly displayed on their dresser, but I found that kind of funny. It's such a Melissa thing to do.
I want real, I want authentic, or I just don't want it at all. And I think I'm allowed to feel that way.
So they're talking about how it's going to be super awkward in LA. And they brought up the fact that at Teresa's engagement party, they weren't even sitting at her table. So, I mean, already this season, these guys just seem like they're not getting along at all. And I feel like the days of us seeing them together and all happy are pretty much over by now, but who knows?
Your whole, you and Louis' family
I didn't sit
at a table, and me and your brother and your nieces and nephews were at the friend table.
I'm like so shocked.
Next up, Jen and Danielle are getting together, and they end up FaceTiming Teresa. And this is when it gets interesting. So Jen and Teresa basically say that an old friend of Margaret's named Laura came to them and wanted to give them all this dirt about her. They say she confirmed that Margaret does investigate into all of the ladies, which is something that she's been accused of in the past. And then Danielle asks if anyone else was brought up, and they both get super suspicious. They say that they have another piece of info and that it's really, really serious, but they won't say what it is. I don't know about you guys, but I am dying to know.
Did you talk about anybody else or just Margaret?
We're both silent.
Oh, wait.
After this, Margaret has a little get-together with some of the girls, where we also meet one of her friends, Jess, who apparently used to be super close with Siggy Flicker. If you guys don't know, she was an old housewife, and from what I've seen so far, I actually find Jess so funny.
Siggy Flicker's best friend.
Do you really?
We were best friends for about 2 minutes. And hate that bitch.
So the girls start talking about Teresa, and Melissa says that they didn't really speak in LA. And then she says that they're both done faking it between them, which makes me wonder, has it always been fake? I think season 7, they were probably the closest on the show, but honestly, that could have even just been fake. I don't really know. I feel like these two are just never gonna like each other.
But for me, I'm like, oh, you don't want to fake it anymore? Good, because I don't either.
Now, I also think it's probably a little bit of a relief.
I'm done worrying about what Teresa thinks, feels, sees.
Then Margaret says that she actually knows that Jen and Teresa have been talking with her old friend, looking for information on her. So I'm excited to see how that plays out. But everyone basically just goes on to say that you can't trust Jennifer at all. But they're not really going in on Teresa, so I don't know what that's about.
Tell us every evil thing about Margaret. I do feel like a little played because after I make up with you, you still do undermining things. It's weird.
Next up, you see Dolores spending some time with Paul. And just a side note, her screensaver of him is actually hilarious. But it is a little creepy, I'm not gonna lie. But this scene is mostly just Paul supporting Dolores and then telling her that Frank doesn't really have to be so close to her anymore because she has him and he wants to take care of her. So far, Paul looks like a good guy. I definitely think that he's more suited for Dolores because David was just so standoffish, and I feel like Dolores needs somebody that's obsessed with her and that babies her in a way. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Establish a relationship with, separate from Frank.
He doesn't need to be in that situation anymore. You know, I got you now. That's all.
Okay, I'll make out with you now.
Then you see everybody receiving Teresa's wedding invitations. And you find out a little bit later that she actually had to redo them because Ramona from the Real Housewives of New York posted hers online. And that was just too funny. It's a very Ramona thing to do. I will say that.
Now we have to send out new invitations.
Like, thanks to Ramona. All of a sudden I get a phone call. They're like, Teresa, Ramona has your invitation out on social media.
And finally, everyone is arriving to Danielle's mozzarella making party. And I gotta say, I am still really liking Danielle so far. I think she just fits in the group really well, and she's honestly just fun to watch. But then we have more Jennifer and Dolores drama about the same thing. Dolores is basically just talking about how she'll never make up with Jen, even though Teresa wants her to.
I acknowledge that. If I have to kiss her ass because she showed up to something I included her in when I didn't have to,
I actually agree.
Then I don't want her coming.
But then Jennifer arrives. So Danielle says that she didn't invite Jackie to the party because she doesn't give off a good vibe. And honestly, I actually agree with this. Jackie does act like she's better than everyone. And I don't know if she's just bitter that she's not a housewife anymore this season, but she's just been acting a little strange.
How are ya?
Good, how are you?
She's eyeing me up and down, like, gee, what's the shoes? What's the bracelet stitch? What's going on? I was like, oh God.
Okay, but at the party, there's already drama. Jen is going back and forth with Rachel and then going back and forth with Margaret about being hypocritical. But the ladies seem to move on for now, and they get to making all the mozzarella.
Okay.
Lift it up nice and slow. I bet we don't want to drip it on you.
I can't help it.
After the ladies are done making the mozzarella, Margaret and Jen go and they have a conversation. It quickly just turns into another argument about how Jen is digging on Margaret. And again, I don't really understand why she's not confronting Teresa too, since it was both of them. But either way, it gets nowhere, and it actually sparks a whole different argument with Melissa and Teresa.
Last time you had seating arrangements, no, you had issues.
Me and your brother and your nieces and nephews were at the friend table.
She was sitting at my table. What? Because she asked to move to the other table.
They go off about the engagement party again. Melissa says that Teresa even apologized that day for the seating arrangement and then told them not to make a big deal about it. And Teresa says that they were supposed to be sitting at her table that night, but it was a huge mistake. It gets really heated, and Teresa tells Melissa that she didn't stick up for her with the Margaret thing, and that's why she didn't want her as a bridesmaid. And that just sets Melissa off. She starts freaking out, and that's pretty much how the episode ends. Nothing is really resolved.
You were horrible to us in New York. The engagement thing, the wedding thing. If you don't want to own that either, that's cool.
All right, this is why I didn't ask you. Let's just put it on the table. It was about...
I honestly don't know if we're ever gonna see these two together again. The way that they look at each other, I just feel like there's so much hate in their eyes and resentment, and I don't know if that's ever gonna change. I feel like it just keeps getting worse and worse. But you never know. We're just gonna have to see what happens. Okay, and now for the drama on social media. So if you guys haven't seen, Teresa actually recently had lunch with Jacqueline. For those of you that don't know, Jacqueline was an OG on the Housewives. Her and Teresa used to be super close, and then they kind of had a falling out on the show, and Jacqueline's last season was season 7. But they reunited. I honestly never thought that this day would happen because of how they left off. But Jacqueline posted this picture of her and Teresa, and take a minute just to read the caption, but if you see, she actually said, "Our friendship rekindling has nothing to do with our mutual disdain for Melissa." And that was just wild. Like, Jacqueline just went rogue with her caption. I honestly miss her craziness on Jersey. And you know that they were just sitting there and talking about Melissa, so she is probably so pissed right now after seeing that. I feel like she's gonna be replying to this in some way, or like clapping back on social media. So I'm interested to see what happens there. But this drama just got real. And I'm so happy to see Teresa and Jacqueline back together. I hope we see more of her soon.
There's also rumors. But I really have been thinking about her a lot because it's crazy because we do both have necklaces now.
There's also, I know, but you hated each other's guts. As,
I know, but
Okay, and that is all for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to like the video and subscribe if you want to see more. Thanks for watching.